Now, Talk Real Estate, sponsored by Boston Connect Real Estate Services.
Hi, I'm Sharon McNamara, and you are listening to Talk Real Estate. Let me share a little bit about my background before we get started. I am the broker-owner of Boston Connect Real Estate, located on the South Shore, and I have been working as a full-time realtor and sales and marketing consultant for home buyers and home sellers for the past 15 years. I have helped hundreds of clients throughout the home buying and home selling process. My unique approach to assisting my clients to the next chapter of their lives is driven by being a team player and by offering them continuous training, education, advising, and mentoring. I like to say that I offer my clients exceptional service that moves you. Every week, I will be providing you with real estate topics ranging from home buyer and home seller advice, legal matters, insurance binders, flood insurance concerns, home inspection questions, environmental worries like radon, lead paint, and mold, mortgages and loan programs, staging tips and ideas, real estate contracts, market trends, home values, and more. It's a talk radio show, and sometimes we are even interactive, so you can follow along online. If you have any questions during the show, please call 781-837-4900. We'd love to talk real estate. If you missed any of our shows, or if you want to listen to one again, you can listen on my podcast at talkrealestateradio.com. If you would like a one-on-one consultation with me regarding your home sale or your home purchase, I'd love the opportunity to meet with you. You can connect with me anytime at bostonconnect.com or 781-826-8000. Now, sit back, relax, take good notes, and let's talk real estate.
And hello to all my South Shore neighbors. You are listening to Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara. My name is Melissa Wallace, and I am here with Sharon McNamara, the one, the only.
Yes, I am here, but I'm falling apart.
Oh gosh, your thing fell off.
I'm really excited about tonight's show. Actually,
Yeah,
can you tell?
Me too.
I'm looking at our guest, and she's just in awe for some reason or another.
This is so special for me. Thank you, ladies. Thank you.
Of course, and of course, we have Mary Baker here tonight.
Oh, hey, Mel.
Mark McNamara is in the background doing some Facebook Live, I think, over there, and doing some video. And then we have a very, very special guest. And you know what, Sharon? I think that you should introduce her because you're the one who met her the other night.
Well, you never know where you're going to end up and who you're going to meet. So this was actually really fun. And so the other night, it was Friday night, Mary, actually, you had your girlfriends, you were getting fitted with your
Getting fitted for a bridesmaid's dress.
Yes.
Nothing makes you feel like you want to lose some weight.
Yeah, but I don't want to say that comment, you know what I mean? Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Hear that, Samuel?
Sam, are you listening?
No pressure.
No, I think it's just a common thing that says, you'll be a bride, don't worry about it. And if Sam doesn't do it soon, somebody else will definitely take over.
Darn right.
Yeah. So we actually had one of our clients, we got their house under agreement, and one of our clients wanted to go look at a couple of properties, and ultimately it ended up with scheduling and stuff, the appointments to come together, but you had shown them a property last week, and they called and said, you know what, we really want to put an offer in on that property. And I was like, all right. So it was Friday night. I told Mark, I promise I'm leaving here at 5:00 and we're going to go out for dinner. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. And our guest is here tonight as part of that whole reason, I'm sure. And so I ended up getting home at about 8, and we went out to eat. I always forget the name of the restaurant. What's the name?
The West End Grill.
The West End Grill. It's a new place in Kingston. I love it. Been there 3 times already. Well, Mark and I like to hang out at the bar because I like to say, I don't even want a table to come between me and my man.
I have to use that one sometime.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
So that's where we ended up, and we're sitting at the bar, and we're in the corner, and there's one seat next to me, and it's sort of awkward because you hate to just leave one seat because usually,
you end up moving.
Yeah, you're moving and stuff like that. But there were 2 seats open, so we took them. And then there was that one left. And then there was another lovely young couple sitting on the other corner. And this wonderful woman who's here with us tonight, Carolyn, right? Carolyn Daily, took a seat next to me. And she was chipper and happy. And I'm very empathic. I don't think that she knows that, but you know how I pick up on people and things. And I just really loved her energy too. But I was really tired, so I was like in between, and we knew there were some other people that were there that we knew, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we just started talking, and she noticed Mark had his sweatshirt on that said Boston Connect Real Estate, and she's like, Boston Connect Real Estate, they're a great company, and she's acting all coy and everything. And I was like, yeah. She's like, they do a radio show on WATD. And I was like, yeah. And she's like, Sharon McNamara.
And then the voice, there it was, right in my head, your voice. It was beautiful.
Yeah, so she was there, and we started chatting, and she said something like, I think I'm starstruck. And I was like, please, you should not be at all. But we started having a really good conversation. And, hey, you guys, like, I thought it was pretty cool that, she recognized me, but then I told her who Mark's uncle was, and I thought we needed the defibrillators. Oh, well, speaking of defibrillators, hopefully we don't need them for that long ride home that you have tonight to keep your energy going out there. But we have Lisa DeMilo from the WATD Traffic Center, who's hopefully going to get everybody home on time and safely tonight. Lisa, how's it looking out there?
Well, Sharon, you're still in the thick of it on the expressway southbound, and I should say you always have the best segues. It's inching along from the tunnel most of the way down to the split. Northbound's hung up from Granite Ave up past Neponset Circle and again approaching the tunnel. Route 3 South, you're on the brakes from the expressway down past Union Street. The Sagamore and Bourne are both moving along, but Route 24 South is slow from 93 down through Stoughton and from 495 down past Route 44. This report is sponsored by Positive Coaching Alliance. Questions about youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit organization, develops better athletes and better people through youth and high school sports. Info at positivecoach.org. Traffic on the 9s every morning. I'm Lisa DeMilo in the WATD Traffic Center.
Talk Real Estate continues on WATD. Now, let's connect with this week's Boston Connect Real Estate's weekly agent spotlight.
And we're back.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. I got a text from my aunt. She's watching us. Hello.
Hi, Aunt.
I guess there's a little bit of a delay, so we'll wave, and maybe you'll hear me say I'll wave in about 5 minutes. So, but you get the gist.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so continue on. So you met.
Well,
Carolyn.
we decided earlier. Remember, you're going to take this part.
Oh yes. What did I say? Hold on, I gotta look at my thing. Okay, Lisa, about introduction of Carolyn. That's what you said. Introduction. Yeah. Okay. What am I doing? I'm sorry.
That's okay. So we're gonna take it. I'll take it over again. But so I met Carolyn. Carolyn was sitting next to me at the restaurant, and we started having a conversation. I will let you know that she's more. What's the word I want? More fascinated by the fact that Mark's uncle is Wendell Samet. So we're gonna find the way to introduce you to Wendell Samet and maybe get one of his runts, right?
Yes.
Does he have any runts?
Probably. There's got to be a reject in the pile. I'm just hoping.
You just want one of them, correct?
Yeah.
I know. I actually fell in love with Carolyn when we sat next to each other and talked. Mark and I giggled the whole way home. But Carolyn, why don't you tell us and our listeners just a little bit about you and what you do? I found what you do for work very fascinating for someone who has such a chipper personality. It's not surprising to me what you do, but it's surprising to me that after work you're able to still keep that mentality and that sort of aura going.
The majority of my life were animals.
Mm-hmm.
Through the animals, being with husbandry of animals, youth, I found myself working in hospice.
Mm-hmm.
And I do it with pride, to be truthful.
Mm-hmm.
And not everybody's capable.
No.
But you have to have a strong reason for doing that for other people.
Mm-hmm. It's
It's not just the sick person that you're working with. It's the families that surround you, too, that you have to be able to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's part of life.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings me pleasure that I can help other human beings. That's always been my goal, is to help others.
And again, it's no surprise to me. Yeah, that I think that we found each other because, again, the way that we do real estate, I feel like is a holistic approach to real estate. I don't think about it as selling houses. I think about it as helping families.
Yes.
And that's really what it's all about. And I know that Mary, I don't know if you want to share. I mean, you definitely have some, don't have to get into detail, but, what she does for work, I'm sure you can appreciate.
Absolutely. I have quite a bit of experience with hospice. My father was on hospice for, I think, the last 3 to 6 months of his life. He passed away when I was 19 from brain cancer. So I had lots of experience getting to know all the wonderful workers. I was up in Arlington when all of this was going on. So we had, I can't, of course, 11 years later, I can't remember anybody's name, but I do remember how they took care of us the night that he did pass. So,
and the experience was good for the family that is alive there also.
Absolutely.
And that is part of what else we do. We have to know everything.
And like I said, when I sat next to her, it was definitely one of those things where you can feel, like I said, it was really surprising to me after I found out what you do all day. And, I was telling you about Mark's niece, May McNamara, and she works locally, and she had some, a difficult thing that she had to do that night. And it's, there are special people with special hearts that do things like that. And I'm fortunate that I haven't had to have this situation in my life. But certainly, if I ever have to, I hope that someone like you or you are by my side. So I just wanted to let you know that. I told you that when I was leaving.
You did.
I go, if I'm ever sick, can you please be the one to take care of me?
Can I put you on personal request, please?
Exactly.
Yeah. So,
well, it's funny while we're sitting here, you do have a very bubbly personality, but you're also very calming. You have a very calming personality sitting here with you, and I could almost see your demeanor switch from that very, very bubbly to just a little bit more reserved and calm, cool, collected. This is because people's emotions during that process are so unruly and unpredictable that you have to be that steady force and that rock. So I entirely appreciate that.
Be able to read your situations, and clearly, well, what else too is the first 20 years of my life I spent it in banking, dealing with human beings and their money. That was amazing.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
It's reading the people, and it works for me, and I just consider myself lucky.
That's awesome. Well, so tonight what we decided to do, so I said to you, oh yeah, well, I'll have you on as a guest one day, or I'll give you a shout out. And then it was just, I got this great idea. I was like, because of her personality, I was like, I bet you she would say yes. So I reached out
and that doesn't happen on the first go around, just as an FYI. People don't just say, hey, I'll come on the radio show.
Yeah, of course I will. Yeah, I know.
We were a little surprised. I was like, okay, we're doing this. Let's go.
It was great. Well, here's the thing. Like, we were sitting next to each other, and Mark and I got this awesome eggplant salad that they have over there. It's amazing. And she's like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. And the couple that were next to her thought the same thing. And I was like, I'm happy to share it with you. And then when Mark got back to the table, I was like, can you ask the bartender, when they were busy though, so I said, can you just ask them for extra plates, because I want to give them some. And he's like, who are they? Like,
you're just giving our food away.
Yeah.
Here.
So, but we didn't get a chance to get the extra plates, but I certainly would have shared it with you. So what I did is I said, you know what, I think that this is great. I reached out to Carolyn and said, hey, would you be interested in coming to the studio? We're right here. And she said, sure. So then I said, well, why don't you be the deciding factor of what our topic is, right? So every week we try to decide what we want, but for us, it's really important. What do our listeners want to listen to? Oh, excuse me, it's very dry down here. But so I asked her to come up with a list of questions, and oh my goodness, she had some good ones. But before we get to that,
she told me to be scared earlier.
I know.
Just so you know.
Oh my gosh, I was like, did she where did she get these questions from? But anyways, I had to do a little research, but I did do that. But first, I want a couple of things about Carolyn. That was your personal life. You told us what you do for a living and everything. But I'm just curious, like, what interests you about the show, and why do you listen to it?
Real estate.
Nothing to do with our personalities, really?
I was getting to that. Definitely, your voice is perfect for me to listen to. I can't sit and listen to all people
She's
all the time.
She's got a radio voice.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Face for radio, yeah.
And it's great. I just really enjoy buildings. I like to know what the market does. I'm lucky enough to live in Duxbury, so that is a very curious factor to me.
Yeah.
I live on the west side, by the way. And
just in case you wanted to know.
It's fascinating.
Yep. Okay, perfect. So I like that answer. So we're interviewing you. Do you like that? Mary, do you have our topics there too? So what are some of the other ones that are on there? With her, asking Carolyn.
Yeah. So have you ever watched like Facebook Live or checked out the podcast? No, you're just an avid WATD listener.
Correct.
She's in her car a lot.
Grow up. Yeah, I'm in the car a lot.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. I did graduate from Marshfield High School.
Nice.
And so that was always a part of my listening.
Mm-hmm. WATD is a staple. I didn't realize that. I was a Kiss 108 girl because that's what everybody in the greater
city.
Boston. That's where I grew up. Mm-hmm. That's what we did. But now it's WATD all the time.
Now everyone listens to WATD and we're famous. Right? And I'm back.
And Melissa's back. But one of the other, I'm just curious, is what is the biggest tip you may have ever received from the show?
Ooh.
To be truthful, landscape. Trees, plantings, curb appeal, length of driveways.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You know, how big's your frontage? What do you see when you drive by?
Mm-hmm.
That's the first impression. So I'm glad we made an impression.
Love at first sight.
That's it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Love it.
When you get inside, well, you could make changes. In the backyard, you could make changes.
Yeah, it's
But
location and sight, yeah.
Yeah, it's the location and what you see.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a lover of trees and animals and fencing. I think fencing is beautiful, and so it's more on the outside is what interests me in real estate.
So would you say that that's your favorite topic that we talk about when we're talking about curb appeal and selling your home, and any really how you can sort of get people to have a good impression of your house? Yeah.
Like, yes. Yeah.
Here's the thing, Carolyn, we're on the air.
That was me for the first 6 months when I was ever on the radio show. I was like
shaking your head. Yes, nobody sees that. Well, people over there can see, but I don't. Yeah, we got you on Facebook too. So shaking your head is they can't hear that. Could you hear her shaking her head?
I could. Not only that, I could feel it all the way back.
Nice. That's great. That's awesome. So here are some of the questions that Carolyn came up with. All right, I'm just going to go through them real quick, and then we'll take each one separately.
Okay.
So I was like,
I'm ready.
Serious? This woman means biz with us. Okay. So one was dog yards, but that was all she said. So I had to sort of think about what she was thinking about. Established co-op. I had to think about that. Goats for landscaping.
I thought that says coop.
It is coop.
Like a coop, yeah. Oh, it's established coop?
Yes, like chicken coop.
Oh, I thought you meant co-op.
When you just said co-op, I was like, wow, that's very savvy of you, because we don't.
That was me. I was like, why is she bringing up co-ops?
You have a printout about them, too.
I do. I have a printout about co-ops, because I was like, wow, she
co-op.
Business.
It's quite fun.
Oh, where is that? That's upstairs. That might be upstairs still.
It's the last one.
Oh, is it? Okay. So, so coop, established coops. All right. So what I had is not going to go. Goats for landscaping. And you didn't say this, but I wanted to bring up something about chickens for eggs, because I have a funny story about that. Are bees good for your property? Mason's bees are. I have them. That is a Carolyn quote. I have an easement on my property that I never understood. Trees, wills. What do I need to know about my property? I live in a historic property. Oh, I live by a historic property. Does that affect our real estate values? And where to buy or where not to buy? We have a whole list here. So, Carolyn, I don't know if you're busy for the next month, but you might be back in a couple.
Yeah, I saw somewhere on here it said next show.
Yeah, I know. Another show. So why don't we take the first one? Because the first one, so what I did was, some of your questions are really good questions, and a lot of them have to do with regulations and having a good buyer's agent. This is when things like this really are important. So we did have a client. Actually, I called his mother today for some of these answers, and they were looking for a place because she wanted to put her horse. They probably know each other because she was a horse trainer.
No.
A horse? No, a horse something. She did something with horses.
She has horses, but she's a police officer.
Oh yeah, she's a police officer too. Well, all right. So what?
She could ride a horse. For the police department.
Exactly. I told you the only horses I was familiar.
The two together.
Yeah, the only horses I'm familiar with were the ones that were like in Faneuil Hall, like with the police officer on top.
Or something.
Yeah, exactly.
The carousel that we went on.
Yeah, but Mary, I mean, you had to do a lot of research for that for them because of the right to farm and all of that. So one of the things I did is I reached out to Lisa Cullity, who is the Board of Health agent for the town of Pembroke. She just happens to be a neighbor. I know her really well. I asked and invited her and her husband to come here tonight, but it was very last minute, so they're not here, so obviously they couldn't make it, I guess. Thanks, Lisa. No.
We're fine.
Yeah, that's all right, Lisa. But she gave me some really, really good information, so we will talk a little bit about that. So, Mary, you want to talk about the dog yards and some of my notes there and some of your own input about that?
Well, so I'm assuming dog yards means fencing around the dog's yard? Okay. So something that I think is really important, because I'm actually looking into fencing a portion of my yard for our little puppy, Dexter, who is not a puppy.
He's not little.
And he is unruly, as all would believe. We have lots of deer and wildlife in our yard, so I think it's important to have him fenced in. In order to be able to fence our yard, it's really important that we have a survey done in order to know exactly where we can go within our boundaries. The middle of our yard we know isn't going to be an issue, but the sidelines, we want to make sure we're not encroaching on anybody's property and making sure that we don't have to take it down in 5 years when somebody sells or buys or so on.
Or there's a wedding.
Or there's a wedding in our backyard.
Are you having your wedding in your backyard?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, please just make your way past the dog
fictional
kennel.
wedding is in our backyard.
Melissa. Please make your way by the dog kennel.
Yes.
You're funny.
Cocktail hours by the dog kennel.
Or with
Isn't
the dog,
she funny?
maybe?
Cute.
Instead of
Yeah, she is
being
cute, isn't she? She's really, really cute.
Thank you.
So did you have, what are any other specifics about that question in general?
Excuse me. Can you have it attached to your home?
Oh. Well,
like
yeah.
wrapping around your house or starting at your house?
Yes.
So it can be it can start on your house, because my current fence that's falling down attaches to one side of our fence. Well, that's why I'm getting a new one, ladies. Currently, it goes right up to almost our kitchen window and comes out at an angle, like a right angle, and it would go out to the backyard and come right loop around.
And so what do you want yours to look like to make it visually?
So for me
Neat to the
personally, I like wood fences. So I will be putting up a wood fence on either side, the front and the sides, and then I'll probably do a chain link black fence in the back.
Yeah, do it black, because then it blends in better with the trees, even though trees are green, but the black blends better.
Especially at night when you can't see it.
And you just walk right into it.
I did green in the back, and it just, you barely even see it.
Yeah.
Really?
See,
Like that hunter green, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what they do with the septic vent pipes. So they paint it, and it's just something that you never even notice. But so that's what I would do, because I like.
But you're not just doing a dog kennel. You're doing like your whole yard.
Half of my yard, yeah.
Okay.
We used to have a dog kennel.
I
and
know.
that was
Well, you're
attached
not going
the
to do a
barn.
wood stockade
Those are
dog
ugly.
kennel. Yeah.
It was a straight.
Oh, I thought it was for
kennel.
chickens.
Because it did look like it had a chicken coop.
Yeah,
that's what
that's
you
why
coop.
I was like,
Not
have
a
they
co-op.
ever had a coop, a chicken co-op? Oh, we should watch like Chicken Little or something. I bet they have a chicken co-op there. Well, ask Mackenzie if there's a Disney movie that's like that.
Yeah, so Mackenzie, if you're listening.
Yeah.
All right, so listen, don't make fun of me, because I did research on this. I'm like, wow, this woman is legit. I'm like,
co-ops.
established co-ops? All right, well, but here, I'm just going to read one. In 1752, the first successful co-op was organized in the United States when Benjamin Franklin formed the Philadelphia Contribution Ship for the insurance of houses by from loss of fire. I mean, it has to do with houses. So, like, I thought that's where she was going.
Yeah.
I didn't think coop. Look,
I think
I was like, wow, that's fun fact.
I feel like we had a property. Was it the one on Taylor Street that they had a chicken coop and the buyer wanted it or something? There was something to do. with the
absolutely.
chicken coop.
They had an old chicken coop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was. I mean, they didn't use it anymore.
Yeah.
Theirs wasn't attached to their house.
I wouldn't want a chicken coop
Yeah, no
attached
way.
to my
No.
house.
No.
Don't they smell and they
Yes.
peck?
Don't they
Yeah.
have,
Well,
like,
usually
diseases?
you put them back, and I've seen people have their chickens like roaming in the yards. And
Remember the time I went to the house and it had ducks roaming around, and
We
they
have
were
turkeys.
they were big ducks, and then she gave me big duck eggs,
Oh,
and I was like, I sort of have an allergy to eggs, and now these are big.
I was an allergy to eggs.
She kept the ducks in the basement.
You eat eggs like every
Of
day.
a home?
I know,
Of a home.
but if I can't have them like runny.
Not duck eggs.
Not
they have
duck
to be
eggs,
chicken
yeah.
from the co-op.
So one of the things too is when you're doing the dog pen, one of the things that you want to be careful about is just where you are to your sidelines. Yeah. Okay. Is it too loud for you? Do you want us to lower it? Okay. I see you have one ear on and one ear off.
I don't know, just in case.
No one's sneaking up on Carolyn.
Okay. So you just want to make sure that you go to your town, make sure. I actually reached out to somebody to ask if you had to get a permit to do a dog pen in your yard. I can't imagine that you did because you don't really need one for fence.
I think if you were trying personally, I don't think you would if it was just for personal use.
Right, personal use.
Personal use, but if you intended
training or doing something like that, or like a show dog, I don't know. Like
training or starting any type of at-home doggy daycare or something like that. I think that would be different.
So that's what I was going to bring up. So I'm so glad you can read my mind. So when I was on the zoning board for the town of Pembroke, and when we were on there, we did have people who came before us that wanted to open up, dog den, I didn't want to say dog dens because that's the name of a company, like a dog daycare.
Yeah, but
and you just have to be really careful because if you're in a residential area, you have to worry about the noise and things like that with your neighbors and barking and blah, blah, blah. So definitely if you do want to do that, you have to check in with your town. It makes sense because
there's business permitting and
when
all of that.
When all else fails, if you are questioning something, just go to town hall and ask. I mean, that's what they're there for. They're there to answer questions and educate the community. So that's what I say.
Okay, perfect. All right, so we're going to move on to the next one.
Oh, I would love a goat.
A goat named
Peter
the goat. She
just because
Carolyn,
it's funny.
She actually wants a goat named Peter.
Yeah, I want a goat named Peter.
You need to come over and meet my goats.
So you have goats. Let's talk about your goats.
Do they have names?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Let's talk about your goats, Carolyn.
It was another quick choice.
I did not think this out.
Everybody
however
had goats. Well, I had horses, and I have dogs, and I have cats, and I have chickens. All my friends were getting goats. So
I bet none of my friends are getting goats.
I don't have a friend with a goat.
I'm hoping to be your first.
Well, now I have my first friend with goats. That's Carolyn.
We're coming over.
I never just want just anything. I have to have something that I think is special. So I went to Concord, I think it was, and to a goat sale place. And I see one, and then I can't just have one. This one was milking, but they steal their babies away when they're young. So I could have a little baby because I could milk the big girl and feed the baby. But then I needed a friend in between.
Oh, my gosh. So you went and got 3 goats?
And I couldn't have just any goats. They had to be registered goats. I paid a really, really lot of money for 3 goats. Yes. And so now they're like gems to me.
Oh, my God. You got to love those goats.
What are their names?
Esther.
Oh, my
I love
gosh.
It.
I
she
love
was the
it.
reason. And Esther has a giant beard.
Oh.
Annabelle and...
Why is that okay for her, but it wouldn't be for us?
Yeah.
No, exactly. That's what I was just want to shave a little. And Delilah. So.
Delilah.
I love them. You were great at naming.
Esther, Delilah, and what?
Annabelle.
Oh, I love it. Oh.
And now you need a Peter.
And now my husband's Peter, so I got one.
There you go. That is perfect.
Couldn't have been more perfect.
Well, our daughter is coming home with her dog, and I'm not sure if I have a feeling she wants us to keep the dog. How do you feel about a little Tallulah in your life?
A little Tallulah.
Tallulah Bell.
I like that.
Tallulah Bell.
Tallulah.
I do.
I don't know if she'll leave her or not. So tell us about your goats. So why did you want, other than the fact that, all your friends had them,
I had them at the horse farm, and I dissolved that because I had done it for many years. But the goats are my babies, so I said, well, I have to bring them home. So I planned very accordingly where to start them. And they quickly cleared that little lot. And I was like, oh, that's so beautiful. Picked up the fencing, and I moved them again.
Huh.
I am structurally perfectly making just a perfect, swath all the way down.
So how much land do you have at your
2
house?
acres.
You have 2 acres.
A little over 2,
And
I
there,
believe,
so
yes.
that's plenty of land. It isn't. So did you have to go through any type? I know Duxbury is definitely a right to farm
It is.
Town. And did you have to go before them at all, though? Do you have to get like a permit or?
I do not for the chickens or the goats. If I wanted to bring a horse home, I would.
Okay.
Because I would have to build a structure that is bigger than appropriate size for the town to house a horse.
Okay.
But that's not happening. I know.
Yeah. Well,
No
you have a
horses.
horse though, but it's
I sure
being
do.
boarded somewhere else, right? Well, this was Mark's comment at dinner. That's sort of a big commitment, isn't it? A horse, and they're like what? How many years? Like 34, 35 years.
We have one that's still going at 34.
How long do goats live?
16.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's like a dog.
Yeah, it's like a dog.
Some dogs.
Exactly.
You know, dogs that are like, do they lose their teeth and start to smell too? Goats, I wonder.
I don't think
Right,
so.
just
I don't.
Do dogs lose
Like
their
dogs.
teeth and
I
start
don't.
to smell?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Oh, yes, they do.
Oh, wait.
I guess all of our
never
dogs
gonna
have
smell.
died suddenly.
Yeah. No, a lot of
From old age.
our dogs have died young. I don't know if it's the breed. Mark, do you think the breed that we
Shar-Peis.
have? Because we had Shar-Peis, and a lot of them died young. I mean, Mark came home one night from hockey, and he was like a lunatic running through the house. He's like, Shah, screaming. And I was like upstairs, and we were sleeping. The girls were in their room, and I was in my room, in our room. And he came running in, and he's like, Shah, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, what's wrong? And he came home with his hockey equipment and went downstairs to put his hockey equipment out back. And one of our dogs, Ruby, was had died and had a heart attack. But she was only, what, like 3 or 4 years old. So he thought somebody, so the reason why he was so frantic is he thought that somebody maybe broke into the house. And, you know, how does a
Knocked her
3 or
out.
4 year old
Yeah.
dog just die suddenly? Like he didn't look to see what happened to the dog. But of course your head always goes to the wrong place, you know, so he was running around the house. But yeah, that was a
Poor
really sad
Ruby.
story.
I'm currently
Well,
terrified.
Here, Carolyn, is a list of all of the different communities in Massachusetts that do have the right to farm. So that I thought maybe you'd be interested. You seriously had me doing more research for this show than I have all year.
And those just came off the top of my head in 1 minute.
Yeah, I know. You were really good. I have
You're
all
like,
the
"Wait till
co-op
you give me a
information over here.
second."
Yeah,
all the co-op
exactly.
stuff right there. There's the co-op stuff. So I know in some communities, though, when I was talking to Lisa Cullity, again, and if you have any questions for us, we are live, 781-837-4900. Ben is in studio. We're in our in-home studio here at Boston Connect Real Estate, located at 19 Mattakeesett Street here in Pembroke, right in Pembroke Center. You had no problem finding us?
I did not.
Okay, great. And if you have any questions, give us a call, and Ben can sort of pipe you through. I don't know what the real term is, but 781-837-4900 if you have any questions for us about tonight's topic.
So can we sort of go over like what it means to have like the right to farm? Like Duxbury is they are farmer community. Is
Yeah.
that what we're saying?
Right to farm community.
Yeah.
Right to farm community. So what does that mean? So you can have livestock. You're not like a nuisance to the community,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
So it's sort of what it is you can, and Lisa actually explained this to me earlier, and again, you think I would know more about this, but I did reach out to one of our, Sandra Simon, who's wonderful.
She's a wealth of knowledge.
She really is so smart. She was on the conservation committee with me as well. And, you know, the right to farm, basically, here, I have a description. You want to know exactly what it is?
Oh, nice.
Oh, seriously, if you don't think I'm prepared tonight, ooh, boy. All right, the right to farm. So this is for the town of Duxbury, by the way. It was approved March 8th, 2008 at the annual town meeting. It was accepted by the Attorney General on April 29th, 2008, and it was advertised in the Duxbury Clipper, just in case you wanted to know. Excuse me. It is the policy of this community to conserve, protect, and encourage the maintenance and improvement of agricultural land for the production of food and other agricultural products and for its natural and ecological value. Basically, and it goes on, but for some reason or another, I'm choking here.
Take a sip.
Yeah, I will. One of the things that Lisa had said was that, again, Lisa Carletti, the Board of Health agent in the town of Pembroke, the reason why this law is out there is it gives people the right to farm, so people can have animals, they can have livestock, but there are regulations that go along with it. But people think, oh, it's just I can do anything that I want to do free willy-nilly. That is not true. It is to sort of protect you from nuisance, so people can't just come after you and say, oh, I don't want you to have your goats because I think that goat poop stinks and you're close to my boundary lines and you only have 2 acres of land. They have the right to farm in Duxbury, okay? It isn't for, it isn't just for big farms. It's for people just like Carolyn, right?
Yes. Well, a lot of people want goats now and want chickens, and they're going towards a more holistic and organic path of life. And I mean, how many documentaries have we seen about what they put in our food and blah 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 blah? Don't get me started.
I've seen 0.
Oh, I watch them all the time.
I can't watch them. I know, I'm sorry. If it helps, I have a lot of food allergies, so I try to avoid a lot of foods, but then I just end up eating the same thing over and over again.
But that's I think a big reason why in 2008 it becomes a law that your neighbor can't just dictate or keep complaining about you or calling the police on you or whatever it is because they don't like how you're using your property.
I didn't buy this piece of property thinking that somebody next door was just going to go out and have chickens. With that said, that doesn't mean that you have the right to just do anything. So you can't have roosters that are just, what do roosters do? Crowing all night long. They crow?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a nuisance that we don't want to be. That's respect your neighbor.
Well, and most people don't want to because you're enjoying the pleasure of your property to have your animals. But then there are people, unfortunately, that take advantage of things. So they could potentially have, roosters or animals that are, maybe not picking up after their animals and things like that. So the next door neighbor is going to have that smell. Well, the thing is you can't take away the value of somebody else's property based on you having free enjoyment of your property, right? So you still have to go by, state guidelines and regulations
and your town regulations, right?
Check in with your town because your town may say, okay, you can have roosters, but your roosters can crow, they can't crow before 6 or after 7 p.m.
Are you going to tell them that? Are they going to know?
I don't know how you would prevent it.
I don't know.
I really do not know. I told you, I sat on zoning and I sat on conservation, and some of the stuff that comes before you laugh. I'm like, really?
Can you train roosters? To know, all right.
I'm sure in some way, shape, or form.
You know what? On a side note, I think that Carolyn and Mary can have a little conversation because I told her about you being a vegetarian, and she's like, well, she has a reason why she does eat veal. So
you remember that story, did you?
I do.
This is funny.
It's important story.
Okay. I'm all ears.
Cows.
Okay.
And meat. Addressing the needs for people to feed their families and grow milk and meat. Cows give everything that they give for us to milk them to have cheese and product. But they have to be bred over and over again in order to produce milk. Sometimes they'll produce male cows, little baby boys. Well, in the dairy breed, that is, what do you do with them? Instead of shipping them to an auction or euthanizing them, that is why they make veal. Is small animals in the cows can be consumed. Otherwise, the end of their life could be way more miserable than just eating them at the beginning.
And wasted, right?
And wasted. They could go to an auction. They could be abused. They could be inhumanely
just put in a
bad situation.
Hole.
Yeah, they could be.
So I'm not in any way, shape, or form. I am a vegetarian, but I'm not in any way, shape, or form a I'm not very well versed on. I didn't become a vegetarian for
like
moral
a moral
implications
thing for you,
or the moral responsibility.
Yeah,
it has become that over time for me. Even though I had like a month and a half where I was really bad, and I went back and I ate a Fenway sausage, and I was like, I don't feel really good.
A piece of bacon.
Like, don't worry, that wasn't really meat.
Exactly. It wasn't really meat.
Street meat at your concert.
Street meat, yeah.
It's the best kind of meat. But so I don't know all the ins and the outs. For me, it's something that doesn't make my body feel really good. So it's a personal choice, and I feel better when I don't eat meat.
Right.
I don't know if that contributes to a problem or if vice versa. I just don't know enough about it. Huh?
I was just looking at the clock, but we shut off the clock.
I know.
So anyways, again, that can be another side note because I want to get to some of our good questions.
There's so much because I would like to. So here's just real quick. I would like to have chickens, but because I want the eggs, because I actually do eat eggs. That's pretty much the only I have. I eat eggs and I eat ice cream. I can't get rid of the ice cream.
Yeah.
We have lactose-free ice cream.
Yes, we have lactose-free ice cream. But I would love to have chickens, but I don't want to kill the chickens when they get sick. I can't do that. So, do you know what? Because if one of them gets sick, then they get all the other ones sick.
You have to kill it.
Never, ever.
I didn't know you had to kill a chicken.
Give them
if they get diseased,
a beautiful place to finish out their life with their sisters around them.
Well, because that's what you do for a living. Like, and look at the person that we're talking to right now. I mean, certainly she doesn't want bad things to happen. Yes, we'll have another show on that. But right now, I'm moving on. Because I want to talk about chickens and eggs. Oh. I want to talk about chicken and eggs, right? So Mark and I went to
first?
No. Mark and I went to Boston Interiors, right? Because I want to get a new sofa. And so we're talking to the woman. And she's like, oh, can I tell you this story? And I was like, sure. I'd love to hear stories. And she said that she was up in New Hampshire. She was telling us about the weather, and her husband was hunting and everything. And she went into this store, and he's like, buy something for yourself. Well, she came across this stuffed chicken, which apparently is something to do with Helen Reddy. And she went back to buy this chicken, but it was an expensive stuffed animal chicken. And she sent me a picture. But she has chickens, and she has 18. I was talking to her earlier. She has 18 Rhode Island Reds.
Yes.
Does that mean anything to you?
Sure does.
They good ones?
My least favorite.
Oh, really? Why?
They're just really, really big. They have beautiful eggs, but they consume a lot of food. They're a little bit aggressive in my mind, and they're all the same color.
Oh.
They're an aggressive
I like a
chicken.
flock of a multicolor.
Oh, yeah.
What kind of chickens do you have? Not that I know what they are.
Right. I have silkies, and I
that sounds fun.
have Americanas that lay green eggs.
Oh,
Really?
wow. They lay green eggs?
I have leghorns that lay white eggs. I
Boring.
have,
Are those the ones we have at Easter?
yes, white eggs. They're all leghorns.
Huh.
The majority of farmed eggs that are
Yeah.
white, they're all leghorns.
Oh.
Yeah, so I
had no idea.
I have fluffy, petite.
We want green eggs.
Yeah. And ham.
We want, yeah.
What
So they're fluffy
color?
and
What
petite?
color do the green eggs look like when they are like when you put it in a frying pan?
Normal eggs.
Regular
no problem.
eggs.
It's the shell. Just
Really?
the shell.
Why?
It is
We're
the
so off
breed.
track.
I do not understand how the color changes.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's the breed of the bird. So the breed is
Yeah.
green, brown, light brown, medium brown.
That is so fun.
Chocolate brown, various colors of blues,
fun.
white.
I am 51 years old,
amazing.
and you just taught me something new.
amazing.
I thought that was like, I thought green eggs and ham was just made up.
Me
No.
too. Wow,
Like a
that is
Dr.
fun.
Seuss thing.
Okay.
Wow.
So anyways, this woman was great, and I told her I would give her a shout out. So hello, Susan from Boston Interiors, and thank you for that great story. I thought it was wonderful. And I said, hey, have your neighbors, she lives in Halifax, and they are right to farm as well. So she didn't have to go through any permitting and anything. And I said, do you have any suggestions? I mean, did you have to get any permits or anything? Like, what about your neighbors? How do they feel about it? She goes, my neighbors love it. I have 18 chickens, and I give out a lot of eggs. So All right, so we only have 4 minutes left.
That's
I cannot even believe this. So just some information for everybody. We have tonight somebody that I met. We're going to call this sort of our be our guest. And
you're our guest.
You're our first. You're our first guest spotlight. I thought this was great. And if you are interested in being a guest on our show and you want to give us some topics to talk about, and we're going to have you right here in studio, you can give us a call at
781-826-8000. That's our office. Or you can go on BostonConnect.com and you can find all of our personal contact information there if you'd rather contact us directly.
Yeah. Or you can get in touch with us on email, right? So
email Melissa at BostonConnect.com, Sharon at BostonConnect.com, Mary at BostonConnect.com.
Perfect.
Mark.
Yeah. So if you want to be our guest, just let us know. And we only have a few minutes left, but 781-837-4900 is the studio if you have a quick question for us. But I want to sort of move on because, honestly, we will hit upon some of these other questions that you have on another show. And a lot of them I wrote, this could be its own show. It could be its own show. Next week, we will not be here. Just so you know, we will not be live next week. Mary, Melissa, and I, along with Laurie Rini, who is our empowerment team director here at Boston Connect Real Estate. We're heading to San Francisco on Thursday. Yes, we're going to the National Association of Realtors Conference. So that's going to be fun. We're going to learn all kinds of great stuff and come back with some really good things for all of our listeners. So next week we will just be giving you a recorded show, and we'll be back the week after that with Mark Stiles, actually, from Stiles Law. He will be joining us. Nice. So I'm going to talk to him about some of these easement questions that you brought up. So Carolyn, if you want to call in or if you want to be here again, feel free. I mean, hey, we are always welcome in my home. Mi casa, su casa. But one of the things that we brought up was you brought up with trees. One thing I do want to talk about, because I mentioned it at the beginning, where to buy and not to buy. Just so you know, we're not allowed to answer that question, and we can't make any judgment, and that is a fair housing situation. So if anybody is out there and they are working with a real estate agent and they say, oh, I can see that you're in your 40s, you're a young couple with 2 children. I think that you would be better off living in this section of Pembroke because of their school system, or this section of Duxbury because of their school system. That is called steering. We can't steer people based on their sex, their gender, and a slew of other things, color. We can't steer them to a certain area because it's against the law. Oh, and that's what we're going to have to end with. But
because it's the law.
It's the law. And you are listening to Talk Real Estate with Sharon McNamara, Mary Baker, and Melissa Wallace. We had Mark in the house with us tonight, and we had our very first Be Our Guest segment tonight with Carolyn Daily. And thank you so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Thank you. I
did.
Yay. And a shout out to anybody, Carolyn? I mean, somebody must be listening.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Actually, my father, Richard. Yes.
Oh, hello, Richard. Hi, yes. Richard in Halifax. All right, everybody, have a great week, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye. Thanks, Carolyn.